This is a chart showing how the atheists think the different states are treating the subject of evolution. They think the folks in Minnesota are doing a wonderful job of teaching evolution. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to get red like Florida. We're doing a lousy job. Yay, Florida. Richard Dawkins said, it's absolutely safe to say if you meet someone who claims not to believe in evolution, that person is ignorant, stupid, or insane, or wicked. Well, he's real open-minded, isn't he? Evolution's not a fact. It's not even a good theory. Evolution's a religious hypothesis. People believe that the animals changed. Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. Now, I think two things. Number one, the lies should be taken out of the books, period. Don't lie to the kids. And then I think you'll find there simply is no evidence to support this evolution hypothesis, okay? And that's their problem. If you don't have any evidence for your theory, I'm sorry. I mentioned in a debate one time about 30 different lies in the textbooks, and this one professor said, Hovind, you want to take all these lies out of the books, and I got a question for you. What are you going to replace it with? I was speaking at the University of West Florida, my hometown, just about a year ago. One professor got up in the audience during Q&A time, and he said, Hovind, you mentioned tonight we should tear the pages out of the book. He said, I don't think we should deface textbooks. I said, well, sir, suppose you were teaching math, and you came across a book that said 2 plus 2 is 5. What would you do? He said, I would tell my students to mark out the wrong answer and write in the right answer. You would deface a textbook? I said, now, sir, since you do teach biology, suppose you come across a book that says the embryo has gill slits or the tailbone is vestigial. What are you going to do? He said, nothing. I said, you're not going to tell the kids that's been proven wrong years ago? He said, no. I said, then you, sir, are a hypocrite, and the folks in this state ought to help you get an honest job picking peaches or changing tires, but you got no business using tax dollars to spread your lies on these kids coming to your class. Thomas Huxley was called Darwin's bulldog. He really promoted Darwin. His grandson, Julius Huxley, said, I suppose the reason we leapt at the origin of species, the reason we believed in evolution, was the idea of God interfered with our sexual mores. Ooh, now we got the truth coming out. Some people just don't like God telling them what to do. That's the bottom line. Well, listen, you do whatever you want with your life, but you're going to stand before that same God one of these days and be judged for everything you've ever said, thought, or done, whether you like it or not. Now, my recommendation is we get lies out of the textbooks, okay? If you got some evidence for a theory, then show me. But the evolution theory is hiding behind a bunch of lies. That's all there are to support it. And I am on a crusade, one-man crusade if necessary, but I'm going to die trying to get honesty in our schools and get the kids to quit being lied to. I think the purpose behind all this I think that there's really a spiritual battle at a much higher plane. This is not a science battle. There's no scientific evidence for evolution, and there's no scientific evidence against the Bible. This is a spiritual battle. You ought to get involved. Thank you.
Kyle Frazier.
Testing, testing. Okay, just making sure I'm with you. Hugh, just to show how poor I am at paying attention, would you remind me what the agenda is here now? Are we on for 10 minutes and then a question and answer and no closing? Okay. In that case, I'm going to be reading my closing now. It may not have the same effect as it would then, but I believe it will carry over. And my conclusion is this, and I'm going to be sharing the parable of the wall. When I found out I was going to be doing this debate this evening, which was about the same time as we decided to bomb Iraq, it struck me that discussions like this need to influence us differently than to come to a point where we're slinging mud, where we're treating people prejudicially, to where we are not looking at truth in the way that we should look at truth. And so I'm going to share with you the parable of the wall. This is the story of 3 orphaned boys. Defend, discover, and discern. One day these 3 took a walk in the forest behind their orphanage and discovered the most remarkable thing, a beautifully built brick wall. Curious about it, they decided to look it over and found that there was only one simple clue about the purpose and the creator of the wall. A note sitting atop the wall that read, Day 1, gather materials. Day 2, level area. Day 3, pour footing. Day 4, did I say day 4? No. Day 4, build wall. I'll be back soon, love, Father. The discovery created a great deal of excitement with each boy reacting to the discovery in a manner typical with his personality. This is amazing, insisted Defend. Our father has left us a monument to remember him by. No, said Discover, don't be silly. We don't know if there is any connection between the note and the one who built the wall, or if the one who did is our father. In fact, we don't even know if we have the same father. Moreover, I think it's more of an accident than a tribute. What is the purpose of a single wall? It must be the start of something more significant. Discern, trying to moderate the confusion, suggested that this could be the most significant find in their lives, but said he wanted more proof. It is an excellent wall. We know nothing of our father, whether he was a wall builder, whether we are his offspring, and what is the purpose of this wall. That is all defend and discover needed. They decided and started a passionate search for the evidence of their point. Defend decided to pour himself into studying the note. The following years, he read the note repeatedly looking for clues that would indicate that the one who wrote the note actually built the wall. He found that the wall building steps were accurate. The conclusion, no other option than the builder of the note and the writer were the same person. Being convinced of this, he then set out to prove that his father would be capable of building the wall. He went to public records and found that his father was strong and intelligent and caring. In addition, he spent much of his available time reading every word written about his father. Discover, on the other hand, decides to pour himself into this study of walls. Surely, the better one knows walls, the better one will know wall builders. He studies architectural, engineering, and masonry. In the end, he is a world expert. By this time, he decides to reread the note, reconsider the note in light of what he learns of walls, and finds that there is nothing about the note that necessitates it being built by his father. That's all defend. For his part, Discern tries to keep in touch with his brothers, defend and discover. However, the passion of each makes it harder and harder to spend time with them. In addition, he notices that each has become more and more passionate about his position, and it is now impossible to talk with them without hearing about all their expertise. Discern decides to arrange a meeting between the brothers, reestablish their brotherhood. The meeting, while well-intentioned, quickly dissolves into a shouting match. Defend started with the assurance that his knowledge of the note builder is so intimate, he is convinced that the wall is built by him. In fact, he concludes to him the most important message is that it is the most powerful wall builder ever. Discover, followed with the details about information about walls. Walls are wonderful, he agreed, and nothing about this particular wall says that it had to be made by the father. To me, the most important thing is that given enough time, practically anyone could have built this wall. Ridiculous, retorts Defend. Fathers as skilled as ours could not only build a wall of perfect, but made it in 4 days, just like the note said. He is not a typical father, and this is no typical wall. My father and your father are clearly not the same. Discern, thinking he can find blind spots in each brother, tries to build a bridge, saying, perhaps each of you were not so close to what the others learned, you might find common ground, but quickly finds neither brother respects his attempt at neutrality. Defend claims he is ignorant of the father, and Discern claims he is ignorant about walls. Sadly, the brothers part ways and remain distant for the years to follow. I'm sorry I'm having to read this. This is really only the second time I've gone over this since I wrote it, so please be patient with me. Amazingly, one day, each receives a letter from the trustee of the father's estate. The father has been discovered. He will be reading of the will. Each of the boys is an heir. They gather at the attorney's office and, in the excitement of the moment, forget their differences. They embrace and apologize for being so distant. After all, if they are heirs, they are brothers too. At the appropriate time, the trustee opens the letter and slowly reads. To my 3 sons, defend, discover, and discern. I leave all my earthly possessions. May they manage them with care and wisdom, and with the brotherhood they learned by working together to finish the small brick clubhouse I started for them on the back of my property. May the love I have shown them cause them to love one another. You see, the father wanted to build brothers and not walls. That's my 10 minutes.
Thank you, Kyle. Michael, 10 minutes is what we agreed when you were out front. 10 minutes.
Okay, how's that? Oh, how we doing up there in the balcony? Yay! Wow! All right, I want to do 2 things in my 10 minutes, 5 each. Addressing some of the claims by Dr. Hoving that